So with this being the final season, it would seem the show has already had its huge first death. Hey guys, here for the Vampire Diaries, Season 8, Episode 3, you decided that I was worth saving, and I was definitely really looking forward to this episode. I've really been loving this season so far, and this was another really great episode. I mean, we're diving deeper into Sybil's control, the control she has over Damon and Enzo. We got more into her history and what's going on with her. And, of course, the ending, I know you guys definitely want me to talk about, but let's just get into this episode. This season really is not playing around, you can definitely tell, and I definitely do want to get into everything that happened here, so let's just get right into it. We start off on kind of a heartbreaking note. We see, as we know, Sybil has erased any sort of emotional connection between Damon and Elena. So his flashbacks to when he sees her means absolutely nothing to him. The car accident he rescued her from years earlier is on his mind, but he's now standing with Sybil, watching it as if he has no connection to it at all, almost as if he's just watching it as a movie, as if this is just events in a character's head, that this didn't really happen to him. Kind of cool the way they did that, and it was definitely really sad to see the girl he loves, that we know deep down that Damon does love, watching her, completely, in this car crash and him having no reaction whatsoever. This is the car crash that, as we know, he saved her from. This is what turned her into a vampire in the first place. I mean, for him to have no reaction whatsoever, it's really chilling to watch, but they did a really good job with this scene. I really did like it overall. And Sybil asked him if he knew the Gilberts or Elena. He says he doesn't know who she is, and Sybil's pleased. Now, I don't know if this is actually real or if Damon's just playing this up. If he is, he's one really good actor because it really seemed convincing, but I don't really know if Sybil actually has him completely under her control or if he's just acting this way because he's trying to make it seem like he doesn't really care about her anymore, which I think we know he does. But the main stuff in this episode has to do with Sybil. She's continuing to attempt to break into Enzo's mind. As we know, Enzo will not turn off his humanity switch, and we know why. It's because his everlasting devotion for Bonnie. Bonnie's the thing that keeps him going. Bonnie's the thing that keeps him from going crazy, and he needs Bonnie in his life. He can't just completely forget about her. So he will not turn off his humanity switch, and she's doing what he can, so he'll be a 100% loyal soldier, but he continues to fight. She wants him to turn off his humanity switch. Damon's being his usual sarcastic self, tells Sybil to just kill him, but she doesn't want to give up on him yet, and she tells him that she has more than 50,000 men submit to her, minus a few Polynesians, but she isn't giving up. Damon says the torture won't work on Enzo anymore. He's just building a tolerance to it. So Sybil says to go to plan B and actually asks Damon to kill Bonnie, and he says sure. And the fact that he says sure, again, you don't know if Damon actually means this or if he's just trying to give in to Sybil, but just the fact that he would kill his best friend and actually agree to it is insane to think. I think it really just shows how far Damon has gone and exactly what Sybil is, telling him to do is pretty insane the way that's going. I mean, someone like Bonnie, who I think is one of the best pairings we've had on this revamped type of show, between Bonnie and Damon. Just the fact that Damon would actually try to kill her, I think, is crazy, but I think that perfectly sets up where we're really going with this. So Caroline's slowly waking up, she realizing that she just got engaged to Stefan, and I will admit again, a little bit cheesy here, definitely a little bit cheesy. I mean, Caroline in general, I've always liked as a character. They definitely have made her a little bit more cheesy, but I like what they did with her in this episode. She turns over to greet him, and it's Bonnie in bed beside her instead. Bonnie has balloons everywhere, and again, I like that we're seeing these two be friends, because they are friends. Let's see them be friends. And there's champagne ready to open. She tells Caroline she's taking her wedding dress shopping. Caroline tells the designer she needs more bride, less dress. Of course, Bonnie is to be her maid of honor. And both take a moment to remember Elena and how Elena would be there. Bonnie promises that she's happy for them, and they've been planning this June wedding since they were 10. As we know, this is something that we've talked about throughout the entire show. The June wedding. Everyone's going to have the June wedding. I think a couple seasons ago, we would have said, oh, that's going to be Elena and Stefan. Then a couple seasons ago, I would have said, oh, that's going to be Bonnie and Jeremy. That's who that's going to be. It's going to be those two. Then I would have probably said someone like, say, a Caroline or a Tyler. I would have said them. Now it's starting to be Caroline and Stefan. I don't really know if this June wedding is actually happening, but the fact that we're talking about it and it's connecting to season 1, again, it's just showing how I think how much continuity this season really does have, and that's something that I feel like has been lost in the show, and I like that because they know this is a final season, they basically have no choice but to have continuity in there, and I like that. And Caroline tells her that they will find Enzo, she will be able to marry him on top of the Eiffel Tower. Bonnie brings out her old wedding binder, and they're ready to start playing when Bonnie asks how Alaric took the news, because as we know, Alaric and Caroline are sort of together, sort of not, it's kind of complicated, but apparently he took it just fine, because he's telling Seven that very thing in his own place. Georgie comes in the kitchen and tells Seven that he's fine with it. He even tells him that he has 2 flower girls, he would sell them cheap. So things seem to be completely fine in terms of Alaric. He doesn't really seem to care at all. And again, I think it's because he likes Celine, clearly. I think that's what that is. But Seven and Alaric talk about what his interns and associates think that they are working on. He says they believe it's all hypothetical, and Steven suggests killing Sybil with a dagger they found, but Alaric tells him if they use it and it fails, they both will end up belonging to her. And that is really compelling. Last season, they gave basically no reason to kill off these villains, and I like that we are letting Sybil live. That was my biggest problem with last season. There wasn't a clear villain. The first 7 or something episodes, the villain was Lily. That was the villain. Then it turned to be, I can't remember his name, but it turned out to be, the person that Lily was in love with. It turned out to be him. Then it turned out to be sort of like the remaining characters of the show, and then suddenly they just turned Bonnie into the villain. It just didn't really work at all, and I like that this season we are having a clear villain, and I hope that the show sticks with it, because I'm really digging Sybil so far, I have to say. Everything we're getting with her, I'm really liking, and the fact that Alaric and Stefan can't kill her, and if they do, they're gonna belong to her, is really interesting, and I think really sets up how compelling this final season really is so far. So Caroline and Bonnie are enjoying their day at the bridal boutique, and when Caroline pretends to throw the bouquet at Bonnie, Damon catches it. They both see that he's already killed the employee, and obviously they're very worried about Damon right now. Caroline tells Bonnie to run. Damon throws Caroline, telling her this is his RSVP. Damon wanders through the shop, taunting Bonnie. Bonnie and Caroline work together to stop Damon. They escape, and after Caroline pins him with a metal post to the wall, Enzo and Sybil actually rescue him, and Sybil tries to break Enzo's mind. She learns that Damon and Bonnie have quite the history, and she decides to explore his mind instead. And again, the way that Sybil's going deeper and deeper into this and getting all the information she can is really showing how methodical of a villain she really is. And that's something I really do like, is that Sybil is smart. This is someone who knows what she's doing. She's not going to let anyone tell her what to do, and she completely has them under her control. As far as she's concerned, she does. And I love that. I like a competent villain, which is something I think this show was kind of lacking last season. We didn't really have that competent of a villain. I don't really think Lily was that great of a villain. I don't even think, the other character, I can't think of his name. He was that memorable. I can't think of his name, but I don't think he was that great of a villain either. Sybil is a great villain. I like what we've gotten of her. I'd say that she's right up there with Kai. I think Kai was a pretty great villain, and I like what we're getting of Sybil so far. She really is a pretty great villain. And basically, once again, Sybil breaks through the memory. She turns Bonnie into her, so Damon will be devoted only to her, which that was really interesting the way she did that. I don't know how she was able to do that, but Caroline calls Stefan, tells him that they need to protect Bonnie because Damon is out to kill her. Stefan had begun childproofing the house, so all the knives are gone. He tells Caroline all the crossbows are still in the library, and Stefan tells Alaric he doesn't have days to figure out how to kill Sybil. He has hours. He knows that Sybil could come after them at any second. I mean, if she's tapping into Damon's mind, she's gonna find out his connection to Stefan. She's gonna find out his connection to all the characters. I mean, they really are not safe. And Stefan leaves, and again, this is very smart, Stefan. Damon calls him, tells him he's at the high school, and that if there's anything left in Stefan to save him, he's gonna need that help. And Caroline and Bonnie them walk into the living room. They find Sybil sitting by the fire, looking through Caroline's wedding binder, and Caroline actually lets it slip that Bonnie is fiercely loyal. She wouldn't do anything she can for the one she loves. Sybil says she needs 2 soldiers to stay loyal to her alone, and has decided that Bonnie gets to choose which one she wants to save. That, it's really up to her. And that was really interesting to see Sybil do that. But again, Bonnie tells she's jealous, and that no one could truly love her without the manipulation of her siren song. But this is obviously a big choice. I mean, if you save Enzo, okay, you're saving the one you love, but you lose your best friend, who we know how close those two become. If she saves Damon, then that's great, but then she loses Enzo. So there's a lot of pros and cons here, and honestly, it's quite a tough decision. And I like that, honestly. Having Damon and Enzo be the ones trapped in this, in this hell with Sybil, I think really does show that they're trying to do something with genuine tension. That's definitely something they did really well here. And Basically, we see Sybil wants to know why both Damon and Enzo are wrapped around Bonnie's fingers, and Bonnie tells her she's jealous, threatening that no one could truly love her without the manipulation of her siren song, which is totally true. I like the way that Bonnie and Sybil both have beef against each other, and they both have reasons to call each other out. It just really shows that while Bonnie is, in fact, now not as strong, she's just as strong without her powers, and that's something I've really always liked about Bonnie, is how fierce she really is. So Sybil wants to know why both Damon and Enzo are wrapped around Bonnie's fingers because she doesn't understand the connection they have. Sybil wants to know if Bonnie's in love with both the men, and Bonnie denies it, but Sybil goes on about how scorching hot Damon is, and basically trying to get her to admit that she likes Damon, which I don't think that Bonnie likes Damon. I've said this before. I don't think these two. I think they're best friends. I think that's what they are. I mean, we know why they turned out best friends. You know, they were trapped together for so long. She wants them to sit down and have a heart-to-heart because she wants to know how she's able to have them so devoted to her. She doesn't understand this. I mean, Sybil seems to have them in her control, yet they seem to care very much about Bonnie, and she does not at all understand that. But we see Georgie and Alaric are continuing to work on the artifact they found. Alaric lets it slip that they really need to know what this weapon is for, and Georgie goes back to work. Stefan meets Damon, who asks for help. Damon says he physically cannot form the words, but he has a wooden stake in his hands. When Stefan asks who it's for, Damon opens his trunk and shows him Enzo, and Sybil tells Bonnie that if she's not going to choose one of them, then they're going to die. Then she's going to die anyways, because in 12 minutes, Enzo and Damon are going to fight to the death, and again, it's all under her control. So the twins, Lizzie and Josie, are fighting over the dagger as Alaric is distracted in the kitchen. When the dagger falls to the floor, it sends vibrations out that cause the twins to cover their ears and scream. Alaric figures out that it's a tuning fork, and Bonnie then drives to school so they won't miss round one of the fight. Damon admits that he brought Stefan along to help him fight Enzo to the death, and Damon tells Stefan that if Enzo would just turn over his humanity, none of this would really be necessary. That if he would just turn it off, they'd be completely fine. And Stefan tries to convince him that Bonnie would never forgive him, but Enzo interrupts and tells him that there is no point since Sybil changed all his memories, and as far as Damon's concerned, he doesn't have that connection with Bonnie anymore. And Sybil taunts Bonnie about losing her magical powers and how weak she thinks she is, and really, again, I love the way that Sybil is just getting into every single weakness that Bonnie has. I mean, yes, Bonnie doesn't have her powers. Yes, she's lost Damon. Yes, those two will never be the same again. I've said it before. Damon and Bonnie will never be the same again. After what Damon did to her, they'll never have that friendship that they used to have, which is really sad to think about, but it's still, Bonnie cares for Damon, and you still see that here, that no matter what happens, she will still care for Damon, and it's pretty crazy how much of a connection those two really have, and basically, Sybil then grabs Caroline's head, and reads her mind in her belief that Stefan's going to swoop in and save them. Sybil terrifies Caroline when she says once the fight begins, Stefan will be unable to stop them. He will end up sacrificing himself to save his own brother. So once again, Sybil's doing whatever she can to make sure things go her way. Sybil asks Bonnie if she's willing to just let Enzo die. Bonnie says no. She slams in the brakes with Sybil flying through the windshield, which that was pretty badass, the way that Bonnie had the upper hand there. I like that. But Caroline tells that Sybil obviously isn't dead. Bonnie says she knows, but at least now she has to walk, and Caroline smiles, and I like the way they kind of got Sybil against them. I like the way that was done. Of course, Sybil's not dead, but I did like the way they were able to subdue her. Pretty well done. Pretty good stuff there, and it does show that while Sybil's strong, she kind of is no match for Bonnie. You definitely do see that. So the school bell rings, Enzo and Damon begin to fight. Sybil wakes up, approaches the car coming towards her, and Bonnie and Caroline talk. Bonnie's upset that Sybil was right. No one's willing to stand up for Enzo, because really that's true. I mean, Enzo's kind of always been the odd man out, and that's what I like about Enzo this season, that they are giving him stuff to do. He's not just another random human character. No, he actually is there, and I think it's mainly because Matt's not there. Matt has always had really compelling stuff, and now he's gone, so they're giving Enzo stuff to do, which is why I don't really want, I don't really want I don't really want Matt to come back. I know he's on the poster, but I don't want Matt to play a substantial role this season. I just feel like he doesn't really belong here, and I feel like what they're doing with Enzo is really good, and I don't want them to get rid of that. But Alaric leaves the house with his research and the tuning fork. Georgie offers to help him, but he says it's safer for her to stay at his place, and as soon as he leaves, Georgie sneaks out the back, and we don't really know what that's about. Clearly, she does want to help him, but Enzo and Damon are fighting, and Enzo has a stake ready to kill Damon. Stefan stops him, grabs a metal shovel to attack Enzo, but Caroline races in, tells Stefan that she can't let him do that, and Stefan tells her to stay out of it, but Caroline tells him that she promised Bonnie, and before they can continue arguing, Damon snaps Caroline's neck. Obviously, she's not dead, but Enzo snaps Stefan's. The fight continues. Damon shoves his hand to Enzo's heart. Bonnie runs in, begs Damon to stop it, and that Enzo is his friend. Sybil arrives, says he won't listen, that Bonnie needs to choose, and she says that she chooses Enzo. Sybil tells Damon to remove his hand out of Enzo's body, and Damon begs her to not do this to him. She says she knows her friend is somewhere inside him, and she will live with that, but she chooses Enzo. Sybil sarcastically says that she's weepy and how touching this moment is, but Damon says he knows where he's going, and they cannot send him there. Sybil's upset that nobody had asked her really what she wants, because again, this is supposed to be Sybil's control, and no one's really asked her what she really wants here, but she says Bonnie made the wrong choice. She orders Damon to kill Bonnie, and then Sybil can kill Enzo, and they can all move on with their lives, unless Enzo gives her his humanity to save Bonnie, and Enzo actually wants to comply for the first time this season, and I get it. I mean, there really is no other option, and Bonnie pleads with him not to do it. Enzo says that Bonnie's the only one who can rescue him from the other side, kisses her, he flips the switch to join Sybil, and Sybil asks Enzo if it's okay for her to still have Damon kill Bonnie. He says he still has no problem with that, and Sybil begins to count down from 10. Bonnie cries, continues to look at Enzo for any sign of him still holding on to his humanity. And you know that deep down that Enzo does want to stop Sybil, and he does want to run in and save Bonnie, but he just can't do that. I mean, Sybil's just too strong for him. He can't save Bonnie. It's really sad to see, and Sybil tells Bonnie to run. She does, but she ends up running right into Damon, and just because of the fact this is the final season, the stakes are so much higher. I mean, Bonnie could get killed in this episode for all we know. I honestly thought that Bonnie was possibly going to be killed. I mean, this is the final season. There's so much at stake, and he gives her several options how he can kill her, but before he can do anything, Alaric runs him over with his truck. Georgie stops down the street, witnesses everything, and Alaric brings a tuning fork, but Sybil drops to the ground. Stefan snaps Enzo's neck. Caroline's also furious. She kicks Sybil in the face. Stefan tells Damon it's over. Damon tells me wishes that they were true. He repeats the words applesauce paying before he hops off in his car. I don't know what the hell that means, but he takes off, and again, I liked that in the end, Sybil didn't get what she wanted. I liked the way that ended overall. So Sybil's then locked in a room. Stefan offers Bonnie help with Enzo. She coldly tells him that she'll be fine. She finally turns to Stefan, says that if it was his choice, he would have picked Damon. He admits it, which angers Bonnie, and she tells him that he would have chosen Damon, knowing it was Enzo who was fighting Sybil to keep his humanity and risking his life to help them. And obviously, because Damon's his brother. I mean, that's just a given. That's how it's going to be. And she asks him, what has Damon done besides give up? Bonnie walks away. I get why Bonnie's upset. I mean, she really cares about Enzo, and she feels that Damon just isn't really worth saving. I mean, yes, the episode's called You Decided I Was Worth Saving, and that's true. Stefan has decided that he was worth saving. No one really else has. Everyone else feels that Damon's gone. And Caroline says that Bonnie doesn't mean what she's saying, but she's going to stay with her tonight because this has been a lot for her, and Stefan says he hates that they were on opposite sides. She agrees. He admits he hates all of this. Caroline says she hates it too, walks away, and Stefan's in at the bar. He's writing to Elena. Alaric shoves a drink towards him, tells him that he looks like he could use it. Stefan tells him that he does, and he doesn't know how to deliver the same bad news in a new way. I like the bonding that Stefan and Alaric have. We haven't really seen that before. We're so used to Damon and Alaric, and I like that we're kind of getting that with Stefan and Alaric this season. I like that overall. I mean, especially because of the fact that Damon and Enzo are so far gone, we have new dynamics this season, and I really do like that. And Alaric says he should share his engagement news. Stefan says he isn't so sure he wants to share that because his best men pretty much just tried to kill all the wedding party, so he obviously is not going to tell Damon. And Alaric tells him that Damon's the closest he's ever had to a brother. He believes if Stefan got him back before, there's got to be a way to do it again. And yeah, I mean, I think Alaric's right with that, but as we know, Damon's just really deep into Sybil's manipulation. That's kind of hard to get him back, and Stefan says his time is different. Hopefully when Sybil's dead, the hold she has over him will break. Sybil begins to hum, and as it is affecting Damon as he drives, Damon's having flashbacks of him and Elena. Only the woman in the memories is now Sybil, and Sybil says they need to change hearts and minds of the people who still love him and have hope for him. Again, she's trying to paint it so these two are together, and it wasn't Elena. Again, it's really cool she's able to do that. I mean, yeah, it's sad, but again, I like the way she's able to do that. Tonight's episode, but then we get to the end of the episode, and the episode ends in this really shocking way. I mean, if we really end the way I think we do, then damn, this season has balls, because we see Damon, he's lying in the middle of the road, a car stops in front of him, and the driver gets out, and it's actually Tyler, who I can't remember the last time we saw Tyler. It's been episodes and episodes since we saw him, but he says he heard he hasn't been himself lately. Damon tells him he is who he has always been, but he needs to keep proving it. Tyler begins to walk away, tells him his fight is now with him. He pulls out a gun, but before he could shoot, Damon stops him. Tyler tells him if he does this, no one can forgive him for it. Damon says that they are way past that. Tyler tells him to walk away, fight to get his life back, and obviously you can tell that Tyler's trying to be the one to save Damon and everything, but Damon says he doesn't want to go back, so Tyler tells him to kill him because he wants Damon to always remember his face for when he gave up everything to be a Siren's little bitch, because that's exactly what Damon has resorted himself to. He's forced himself to become Sybil's, and Tyler says maybe this will be the moment that wakes him up to go ahead and tear him apart. So Damon begins to walk away, but Sybil's son makes Damon come back, rip Tyler's neck, and supposedly might have just killed Tyler, and that is the way the episode ends. Crazy stuff overall. Let's just get into this episode, my predictions for where we're headed. So wow, was this an episode? I mean, really, there was so much stuff going on here. We started off with me thinking that Bonnie was gonna die, and now it seems that Tyler is the one that's been killed, and honestly, I believe it. I don't think that they bring Tyler back just for a random scene for him to redeem Damon. No, they brought him back because they want to kill him off. This is the final season, and like I said, our poster of this season has everyone standing at someone's funeral. Now, we don't know who that is, but I am very certain that Tyler most likely is dead. I think that Damon just killed Tyler, and I think it would make sense. You know, Michael Trevino was such a big part of the show. He took a back seat last year. He barely was in the show. He was in the show for a couple episodes, but he really was not in it that much because he just didn't really want to be a part of it. So it makes sense why he would come back one final time just to be killed off. I think that would make sense overall, and I think it's pretty fair. It's a good way for his character to come out by subduing Damon. It did show that Tyler was a hero all along, but the question is, did Damon really kill Tyler? We don't really know. I think all that is very interesting, and the way that Sybil seems to have control over Damon, it seems like it's going deeper and deeper to the point where she's trying to make Damon think that she is Elena, which obviously we know she's not, but it really seems like Damon is starting to give in to her, and he's honestly kind of starting to believe it, which that, again, I find extremely compelling. I really do love where all that is headed, and again, I think we have a very manipulative and very maniacal, and like I said, very calculated villain, and that's something that the show really hasn't had in a while. I think that's really benefiting this season overall. I really do love where all that's going, but especially Bonnie. I like that Bonnie does have the upper hand against Sybil right now. Now, she doesn't have her powers back or anything, but even when she's on her own, she still seems to be just as strong. I mean, that is Bonnie's character, and some people might say, oh, it's too easy to get out of, you know, it's just too easy for them to get out of, you know, Sybil's hold, and it's because they don't want to kill off Bonnie. No, I don't think that's what it is. Bonnie's always been someone that's fierce. Bonnie's always been tough. Bonnie's always been strong. That's just who she is. That's the nature of who she's become. Okay, maybe not the first two seasons. The first two seasons, she was not really as strong. I think as the series has gone on, she becomes stronger and stronger, but that's who Bonnie is. You know, she's used to fighting her way out of things, and she's going to continue doing that, and I like seeing that, and I like that a lot of this season is so solely focused on her. Bonnie is one of the most interesting parts of this show right now, and I like that so much of this episode was residing on her love for Enzo and her, you know, friendship for Damon. I just thought all that was really well executed, and again, Enzo seems like, you know, again, he's not turning off his humanity switch, and you understand why, but I like that he's starting to realize that he doesn't really have a choice. In fact, I'm pretty sure very soon he's probably going to turn off his humanity switch, because again, he doesn't really have another way out of this other than to turn off his humanity switch, and I like that Stefan is starting to give up on Damon, which I don't blame him for. I mean, after what's happened with Damon and everything, it is kind of hard to look at Damon as the same person that Stefan has looked at him as. I mean, it's just not really the same person. This is someone who has clearly not abandoned, but again, he's trying to protect his family, and you definitely do see that here. But to Stefan, this is someone who is completely different than who he's ever seen before, and he doesn't really know if he can get him back. And I like the dynamic that Alaric and Stefan have, and the way that Alaric is kind of motivating Stefan, again, it's kind of something we haven't really seen before, and I like where that's headed overall. Rick and Alaric and, you know, Georgie's dynamic, I really do like where that's all headed. The whole thing with the tuning fork, I think, is overall very interesting, and the fact that that seems to be the thing that can subdue Sybil, definitely, I think, is going to play a large part into the season. We don't know a ton about the tuning fork, but I like that Alaric, his stuff still involves Sybil. It's not a separate thing, and that's something that the show has had a huge problem with. That's had so many different plots to juggle, and there's been so many different types of villains, and I like that this season, it's sticking to strictly one story. That's something that the show doesn't do a ton, but I like that they're doing that with the final season all. It's a good way to wrap things up, and I think overall so far it's really working out pretty well for them, and I'm really liking where the season is headed. But that's really for my review. Oh, also one other question is the June wedding really going to take place? As we know, Caroline and Bonnie, they're thinking this is all going to work out, but we know that Damon just tried to sabotage the June wedding, and he doesn't even know about the June wedding. So what's his reaction going to be when Stefan eventually tells him? I'm definitely thinking that he's going to tell him eventually. When, I don't know, but that's definitely going to happen soon. But that's my review. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode overall. Love to your thoughts on it. I really did love this episode. I'm loving this season so far. And that's my review, and I will see you guys in my next one, which would be for last night's episode of Vampire Diaries. I'll finally be caught up in my next review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.